It's Grandma Ingrid and Nicole again. We're coming with part 2, and this is the continuation of yesterday. Yesterday we showed you guys how to cut up a whole chicken. Today we're going to show you how to use that broth that we had on the stove yesterday. We took all those chicken bones and all the skin and all the meat that we didn't cut off and put it in a pot, and we boiled it for a couple hours till the meat was coming off. Now we're going to show you what to do with that. So what we did after we boiled it, we cooled it off and put it in this 2-inch deep liquid here, and we put it in the fridge. So on top here you can see, let me get in close, the fat separates and sticks on top. You want to get something and you want to skim that part off. So hand me that spoon right over there, Mom. I'm just going to show you. You just get a little spoon and you can pick that off in a little sheet. So you just get rid of all that excess fat. Nobody wants that all piling up on top of your soup or anything like that. So you just pick it off. So that's the beauty of doing this part the day before. It's a lot easier to clean it off when it's cold than when it's warm. When it's warm, you're just going to kind of try and skim off as much as you can. So Grandma's going to come sit over here and she's just going to be picking the meat off the bones. She gets the glamorous job. You got to stay in camera, Mom.
That's not the fun part.
I'm going to show you the vegetable part. So I just have some extra virgin olive oil here. If you don't have any because you've ran out or whatever reason, you can use whatever kind of oil you cook with. I'm just going to put about a tablespoon in the bottom of my pan there. And I'm going to saute up some vegetables. So in our broth, we started off with some onion, garlic, celery, and carrots. Well, I'm going to add more because I want some fresh chunks in there. I don't want the ones that have been cooking a long time because they broke down quite a bit. They're going to add lots of flavor to the soup, but I want some fresh ones.
So getting rid of them. We're just
they're staying in there. We're just going to add to them. So I'm just going to cut up my celery. This has all been washed, and I just cut the ends off. And so I'm just going to cut these all up. And once again, you want a real sharp knife because a dull knife is your worst enemy in a kitchen. More people cut themselves because their knife isn't sharp than if they actually had a sharp knife. So you want to make sure your knives are nice and sharp. When you're teaching your kids how to use a knife, I know it's scary, but with parental supervision, you can give them a sharp knife because they need to learn how to have respect for a knife and use a sharp knife. So I'm just going to throw my celery on in there.
And I'm just picking the meat off of the bones and taking the bones
out.
Show
them, Mom. Show them one of those bones there.
And there goes the bone into the garbage bowl.
And I just added a whole onion in there. I figured you didn't want to watch me cry and clean an onion, so I did it for you beforehand. I have a couple cloves of garlic. I actually did like 4 or 5 cloves of garlic because we all know garlic is really good for the cold and flu season. So I wanted to add some more nutrients, some more of that natural fighting herbs into my soup. I'm just going to give this a little stir here. Turn up my flame just a tiny bit. I don't want to burn Grandma though. Alright, so that's just going to be sauteing there. I'm going to cut up my carrots. I like my carrots in coins, so I just have these little guys, so I don't have to cut them in half. If I had big carrots, I would go ahead and cut them in half because for us, we like to eat things that is just one bite full. So I want to not have a big, huge carrot on my spoon. I want to be able to eat it in one bite. So I like to cut them into bite-sized pieces. So these carrots are perfect size. If you were to use baby carrots, because that's all you had, you could cut them in bigger hunks, smaller hunks. But you want to try and keep your vegetables all kind of in the similar size because then they will cook more evenly when you're cooking them and you won't have raw carrots and mushy celery or anything like that. So you want to try and keep them as close as possible. Alright, so we have all these in here. And those are just going to saute up a little bit. I'm going to let those onions get translucent. It's going to bring out some of that aroma of the onion and the garlic cooking there.
Perfect day for it.
It is a perfect day for it. Oh my goodness, it's rainy. I love the rain. I have some herbs that we picked out of the garden, and I'm going to spice up my soup with some herbs because why not? We have them growing fresh outside. They cost me nothing. I just went out and picked them. Actually, Grandma went out and picked them this morning. So we're just going to cut some of those herbs up and add some herbs to our soup to make it more vibrant and more flavorful. If you don't have fresh herbs, you can use dry herbs, not a problem. If you don't have fresh onions, use dried onions. It's okay. If you don't have fresh garlic, use some of the garlic powder, garlic salt, garlic anything.
Granulated garlic.
Granulated garlic. You just want to be careful if you are adding garlic salt. It can be pretty salty, so you always want to taste your soup as you're making it because it can get salty. We are going to add some extra chicken broth to our soup to add some flavor, more flavor to it. Yeah, we cooked it with the bones and everything, but I like lots of flavor in my soup. And because this is mine and my mom's personal soup we're making, we can flavor it up how we want. So we have chicken stock, which we use a base that we get at Smart and Final. It's a creamy base. You can use the canned stuff, the box, the cardboard box kind. You can use Better Than Bouillon. Whatever brand you prefer, you can use. We just happen to like Smart and Final's brand, and you get a lot of it for your buck, and it flavors really nice. But you don't want to add too much salt because there is salt already in it. If you're watching your sodium intake, just use the natural flavors of the chicken and add extra herbs to it. You don't have to add it.
All right, when that's ready, I think our chicken is ready.
So I'm going to just show you.
Wash my hands.
Here's our chicken stock. Look at how delicious and thick that chicken stock is. You could make a nice gravy out of this, like turkey gravy over mashed potatoes. But, so this is going to go into our soup here. Our onions are looking pretty good. Our carrots are nice and just cooked up. So I'm just going to add, splash us all in the face. It's payback for Grandma splashing me yesterday, cutting the chicken up.
And remember, now this just has some of our chicken parts to it. It doesn't have the breast and the thigh in it. We took part of the leg and saved it as well because we're going to make a couple other meals out of this. So this is going to heat up.
And in the recipe that I'm going to post down below, it's our recipe we give out in our broth soup class. And it does say to use a whole chicken, but you remember in our video we did yesterday, we only use the parts like Grandma talked about. So you can use a whole chicken. Say you have a bunch of chickens in your freezer and you're not saving all your stuff. You can use a whole chicken and just put the whole chicken in there and boil it, or you can do parts like we did. So you can revamp it up. If you don't even have a whole chicken, you just have some frozen chicken breasts in your refrigerator, your freezer, cut those up and use it instead. So you don't have to boil it as long because it's already off the bone unless you have bone chicken breast. But so we're just going to heat this back up because it just came out of the refrigerator and we skimmed that fat off and we dumped it in here. So I'm going to also, we're going to add salt and pepper. And I like to add some salt and pepper here.
What we're trying to get you to do is to be able to make several meals out of a chicken. So if you're using a whole chicken and you boil that up and you take the bones all out and get rid of those and you save part of that meat, you don't need to use the whole chicken in your soup unless you're making a huge pot and feeding 30 people.
Which you shouldn't be having 30 people
That's
over.
Right. So, but just for your family, you should be able to just use parts of it and then save it, and you could make a couple of more meals, which we're going to show you this week, to use the other part of the chicken. And that way it's going to stretch that chicken so you don't have to worry about running out. See, I've got one chicken in there and I want to make several meals for my family and not run out of meat. So we're showing you how to do that.
I forgot to tell you what herbs I was putting in. So I have some chives here, I have some rosemary, and I have some thyme. And I just stripped those off, chopped them up a little bit. I didn't add the others, but we could add some sage if we wanted.
And there's oregano.
Oregano, we can add all that to it.
Whatever you have.
Whatever you have and you like and you want to use. Look at this sage. I'm going to throw it in there for good measure. So we just tossed in
you
some,
can put in
sage.
a bay leaf if you have, which we have. Fresh bay leaf, but we're not going to use right now because I don't have it in here and I'd have to leave to go get it.
Okay, so this is going to, it's going to heat up, but we do have some chicken stock that we're going to add to it because we want this to go further. This is a pretty thick soup. This is more like a stew. So we're going to add some more chicken stock to it. Because we want a big hearty pot because guess what? I'm coming back for some soup here in a little bit. Grandma and Pop are going to eat some soup for lunch. And I want to make sure I have some leftovers because I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We're going to make chicken pot pies and we're going to use our leftover soup for some chicken pot pies. But first I'm going to eat off of it for a couple days.
Link's been cleared. He might even get some chicken soup today.
And so we have our chicken soup here going. And then what we like to do, so remember we showed you this week how to freeze your vegetables. You have your frozen vegetables that you blanched and you froze. Guess what? We're going to throw those in to our soup here so we can have even more vegetables because we like to get as much vegetables out as we can. So we're going to do that. We're going to throw those vegetables in. And while she does that, I'm just going to add some pepper. And it's about a teaspoon of pepper here. And what we're going to do is we're going to taste it to make sure it tastes good. And because I pre-cooked all my chicken, I can go ahead and taste it. It might not be all hot and mixed together, but I could taste it and see if I need a little bit more salt or a little bit more pepper. That was about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt because I don't want to add too much yet. I haven't tasted it yet.
Your broth has a tendency to be salty. So you want to hold back on adding extra salt until you've tasted it.
So what you want to do, always have a plethora of spoons so you can taste your soup. And that is one reason people always want us to teach them how to use an Instapot. I like the Instapot for certain things, but I don't like it for soups because I constantly want to taste it and build that flavor up as I go along. I don't want to wait until I've already had it in my Instapot for a long time and I can't taste it and go, oh, it needed more of this or it needed more of this. I have to wait till the very end. And I think it's better to build the flavor in layers as you go than to try and add it all at the very end. So I like to taste it as it's going. So I'm going to taste it here. It's pretty tasty. I don't think it needs any more salt, and it might need a little more pepper or something in a little bit, but I'm going to let it heat back up and get it going and see if we need any more. But that is how you make a quick, easy chicken soup. I want to tell you, if you didn't have chicken, say you only have a rotisserie chicken that you bought from Costco or Smart and Final and it's been in your fridge, throw that carcass, throw that whole chicken in your pot and get the rest of that meat off that you couldn't cut off for whatever you're using it for. Or if you buy the bags of already cut up chicken, the rotisserie chicken that's already cooked, throw that and add that into your soup. You don't have to have a raw whole chicken. Use what you have in your fridge. Use what you have in your freezer. This is all about maximizing what we have at home so it can make us go through this time when we're not running to the store all the time. We're using what we have. So if you don't have chicken, you can make even a vegetable beef soup is very similar to this. You're going to add some meat to it instead of the chicken, and you're going to add some beef stock, but you're going to add all those veggies to it. It's pretty similar. So you could do many things with whatever you have in your house. If you have a meat that you're not sure how you would make it into a soup, make sure you add those comments down below so we can answer those questions for you and we can get you cooking in the kitchen and making a big pot of soup for this nice rainy day.
Now I'm leaving the lid on because I want to bring it to a boil faster and I don't want it to cook down at this point. I want a soup with lots of broth, and so that's why I'm cooking it with the lid on.
All right, so we want you guys to have a great day, stay healthy, stay happy, enjoy your food you're making, and eat healthy because this is all pretty darn healthy. But we love you guys, and we hope you guys have a fabulous day. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Bye-bye.